Connor, obviously your 7th row shutout, but obviously your first one in the playoffs. How good does it feel to get this one tonight?
Oh, it's awesome. I think that it was, 15 shots, so the boys did a great job in front of me, letting me see the puck and stuff, so I'll give a lot of credit to them on that one, too.
Let's just talk about the defensive core of this team. One of the shifts, I think, I counted 3 straight block shots. They're able to play out their bodies on the line for you, and you're able to see the shots as well. Just what's been working so well for this team as a whole?
I like to tell them that, if they're not going to block it, then get the hell out of the way. And so playoffs are coming around, so they're making sure they're blocking all of them, which I can't thank them enough for that.
How great is it to sweep these guys for 2 years in a row now?
It's great. Sweeping anyone's a good time. Doesn't matter if it's them or anybody else. End of the day, we're here to win a championship, and that's the plan.
What was the key to getting the road win in Watertown last night? I know they gave a later push in the second and third period, but how were you guys able to seal the deal?
Just one thing that Coach talks about is staying even keel. No matter how the game's going, just make sure that we keep a level head and just keep moving forward. So that's what we did, and we were able to hold out the push and get the win.
Do you guys care if it's Port Huron or Danbury for the next playoffs?
No. Don't care.
All right, I guess we'll start off, Coach. Another sweep against Watertown in the opening round of the playoffs. Just run us through tonight's game plan.
It was about being more physical tonight and taking care of the puck. We wanted to let their D handle pucks, and I thought if we got on the forecheck a little bit harder, they would cough it up. And, we did have a lot of chances off their turnovers, but honestly, I don't think we capitalized as much as we could have. But overall, it was a good defensive effort, and we played a lot heavier game tonight.
Was that your best second period of the whole season, without a doubt? Only giving up one shot on goal, and when they were on the power play, no shots on goal as well.
It was an unbelievable second period. So after the second period, I usually have a bunch of things to go over. I'm writing stuff on my coach's card. I had nothing written down for the second period. I just came in there and said, hey, boys, we got to follow it up. But that was our best period out of the 5 periods that we played so far. But at the same time, it's like a 2-goal lead, worst thing in hockey. We need to, have that pedal to the floor and keep it going.
How important was that CJ Stubbs goal?
Last night or tonight? Both, eh?
Both.
I know. He's really coming alive in playoffs. I've heard it before. He had a little bit of a slow start, but he's in primetime mode, and he's really capitalizing on his moments.
I want to talk a little bit just about the third period. Watertown gave you a run last night in the third. Tonight was the same thing. Let's just talk about that locked defensive zone. Couple shifts, many block shots in a span of about 10-20 seconds. Let's just talk about the defensive zone.
Well, right there with what you said about block shots, we just had a little bit more sacrifice and a little bit more buy-in. So it was awesome to see guys getting in the shooting lanes and sacrificing for our goaltender. But as far as staying D side, that was awesome. So when we get into situations like that, we like to have a high F3 and make sure that we got 3 back in the zone, and our F1 and F2 can go to work down low and just try to rag time. Yeah, if you get an opportunity at the net, I want you to take it there. But if we can keep it in the O zone as much as possible, everyone's super happy with that.
You put in a couple different players in today's game. Zach Sirota had such an outstanding game. I mean, sure, it doesn't show up on the score sheet. We'll talk a little bit about Zach's game.
Zach gets underneath the skin of a lot of players, and he draws penalties, and that's what he does well. I mean, he got a call against them in the O-zone over here, and he just managed to make a coincidental situation out of it. So it was awesome to see him bait guys in. He really gets on the inside in the net front too, and he takes a beating for it, but it definitely doesn't go unnoticed in our room. It's just on the stat sheet, just doesn't get recognized. But a lot of new guys came in, they stepped up and got the job done. I just think it's a little different this year as far as using fresh bodies and using our depth.
What was the conversation like with Coachman at the end through the handshake?
I just congratulated him. I thought he, put a good team together when, kind of fell off the rails at the beginning of the year. So he managed it good, and I'm just proud to see a player come from here and have success elsewhere. Like last night, they could have won. Like it was close, and we would have been on our heels tonight. It's just, we're a little different here playing in Binghamton. We're a lot better on home ice, but I'm proud of what Coachman's done.
and the penalty kill all season long has been phenomenal. But tonight, talk a little bit about how important that penalty kill was.
You just go. I think it's really chemistry and getting the right pairs together. So Bond and Stone, they do a good job together, and I've been putting Weebs and Ando together on the back end and mixing up those pairs that naturally we start with. But up front, Stubbs, Kirks, Toast, Steph, Tomer. I'm missing someone else. Someone else is in there, but they all have great sticks and they know how to pursue pucks, put pressure at the right times. On whether it's a loose puck battle, backs are turned, rebounds, off draws. They know when to pounce and they have good instincts for those situations.
Danbury or Huron, does it matter to you guys?
I like Danbury. I like playing against Danbury a little bit better, but Port Huron, they bring a physical game. I have a ton of respect for both teams, but it is always about us and what we have to do. So I'd say Danbury for the closer travel, but if we get Port Huron, we're ready to go.
Tyson's third goal in the third period. How much of a relief did you have after that went in the back of the net?
That was huge, and that was our F1 and F2 going to work with Tomer staying high. Stubbs fed him down low, but Kirks is battling a really serious injury right now that he probably won't come out till the end of playoffs. And guy's got a heart and he's got a hard hat on. I'll tell you that, but we'll disclose that information. But yeah, the kid's battling hard, and it's awesome to see him get rewarded. That's the hockey gods paying it off.
To piggyback off of that, let's just talk about the grit. At this time of the year, everyone's playing with injuries, it seems. Just talk about the grit and resiliency of this group year in and year out.
We have great support as far as UHS goes, but Elise does an amazing job with these guys in the trainer's room and making sure these guys are prepped and ready to go. It's just hockey. I think it just happens at each level. Guys are willing to go through a wall for one another, and it just creates that brotherhood that these guys are ready to battle no matter what it takes. If guys are on one leg. We saw that with Dakota Bond last year in the last 2 games. He's limping around on the ice, but it's whatever it takes, and couldn't be more proud of their sacrifice.
Back to work on Tuesday. Any difference coming into this upcoming week of practice, not even knowing who you're playing against yet?
I think it's critiquing some of the stuff that we did wrong on the weekend, but also at the same time prepping for the new team. It is the same every week. It's just a little bit more intense and a little bit more detailed. That's about it.
This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for April 20th, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 60, and this is episode number 499 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am your host, Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening. And yes, it is episode number 499. What does that really mean? Well, it means I've done a lot of these podcasts, and for some people, doing the podcasts out there in the world means you turn on a microphone, you flip on the computer, and you start recording. For me, there's a lot of preparation that goes into what I give you every single week or every single episode. And even in the early days of me doing this, because the Power Play Post Show was not my first podcast. I was recording content well before the word podcast came out, as I've explained multiple times. And I did a pro wrestling one. So I talked about WrestleMania, which is going on obviously this weekend, and a lot of things about pro wrestling. And I really had a good time doing that. And then it got really good and successful, popular, because it was something new. out there. Not many people were doing it. And I had to shut it down because it got too costly. Back in the early 2000s, from 2000 to 2003, it cost a lot of money when people started downloading. Because back then you didn't really stream. You kind of like downloaded it to your computer and you listened to it actually on your hard drive. And that got a little expensive because you paid for the person who was hosting the podcast or hosting the show at that time. They were obviously eating the costs. So that was a little expensive, so I shut it down. And then 6 months later, my wife was like, no, you got to go back to doing something like this because it is who I am to kind of create this content and put it out. But this has been my style for a very long time. It's been successful. It's been good. And I wanted to continue doing it this way, which means that sometimes you get an hour and a half long episode because there is a lot of information to bring to you, to talk about, to try to analyze. And in some cases, my interviews do go 30 minutes, 40 minutes long. And I just believe that I can do that. Now, some people will give you, like Gary does, 15 to 20 minutes every single day. And that still adds up to about what I'm giving to you in one episode, except for it's broken up daily. So if you only listen to 15 minutes today, 15 minutes tomorrow, 15 minutes the next day, and then you finish up the show 4 days later, I'm okay with that. That's why you only get 2 episodes a week. And the Power Play Post Show's next episode is number 500. And that episode will be a very special episode. I will be sitting down and talking with Grady Wittenberg. Now, episode number 1 of the Power Play Post Show way back in the day was a conversation with Grady Wittenberg. He was the voice of the Binghamton Senators. And he and I are going to sit down. We're going to talk about his career, my career, the things that we've done together, and the things that we've done apart. And we'll just have a great conversation. I'm going to record it. That'll be number 500. And then after that will be episode 501, which will technically be me previewing the upcoming game. I'm going to have a couple other interviews to talk with, and it'll be a really good episode. So 500 will be an extra episode this week for people to listen to. And again, if you're a fan of Binghamton hockey like I am, you're going to really appreciate this episode because this will be a retelling of Grady Wittenberg's story as I told it even 20 years ago when I started the Power Play Post Show. So I'm excited to do that. Obviously, the Black Bears won their series against the Watertown Wolves. That's going to be a big part of what we're going to talk about. But we'll also have Nicholas Swain on the show, which I recorded last Wednesday. And so that'll be kind of fun to listen to him talk about his career so far. And, of course, playing for the Binghamton Black Bears and, his time in college and so on and so forth. So we got a great show planned for you. First of all, I just want to say that I know that we've now swept the Wolves 3 times in a row in the first round of the playoffs. However, I got to say that I really truly think that the Wolves are a better team today than maybe the previous couple years. And I know we shut them out on Saturday night. I know that we, had a special teams goal, a shorthanded goal by C.J. Stubbs to win up in Watertown. And maybe it doesn't seem like they're a better team than they have been, but I truly think so. I think that, are there things that they could still fix in their game? Absolutely. Do I think that they probably were a little bit of a better team at the beginning of the season with some of the components that they had on the team, like on the ice? Like, I'm not talking about what's happening off ice. Some of that was not the players' fault. Some of that maybe was some of the players' faults. But and I'm not here to judge that part of it. All I'm saying is their first 4 weeks of the season, they were outstanding. They were a team that I think even people in the Black Bears organization said, oh, we got to watch out for the Watertown Wolves. Then the rails fell off, an ownership change happened, people got suspended, all that kind of craziness kind of happened. And it was good to see First of all, Candy Churchill kind of go in as the general manager and help right the ship. Trevor Lord and his leadership. Justin Coachman came in as the new head coach, helped right the ship. And you can agree or disagree what you like or did not like about all that situation that happened beforehand. However, they got through it. Some players didn't finish the season. Some players got moved to other teams. That's fine. But they got through it. They made it to the playoffs. They were the fourth-place team like they were last year. I thought they were going to probably be second-place team this year based on the way they started, but everything changed for that matter. You heard Coach you heard Coach Sherwood. I almost called him Coach Kleinendorf. Wow. You heard Coach Sherwood talk about what Coachman did in our opening part here. That was post-game from last night after they had swept the series. And so you heard him talk about it. I think they're actually a better team today than they were last year when the Black Bears beat them in the opening round of the playoffs as well. I just think they're a better team. They played really good defensively. I think in the second period, that was the best 20 minutes of hockey I've ever seen the Black Bears play. They did everything right. And the Watertown Wolves didn't do anything wrong, so to speak. The Black Bears just played as perfect of a period or perfect of the 20 minutes as you can get. And I just thought it was a great game for the Black Bears. Obviously, 4-0 shutout was great. They had a 1-0 shutout against Carolina. They just seem to be better defensively than they have been in ever. I think this is the best defensive team, not just defensemen, but best defensive team that they've ever been. And last year, I thought they were a little bit better offensively than they were defensively. And 2 years ago, Brant had to fix a lot of things to make them a better defensive team. I never would have thought that Brant Sherwood would come in and actually make a team play better defensively. But I think part of it is because they're doing all the small little things correctly, and they're getting better at doing those, and they're stringing more games together of doing those things perfectly. I mean, they won the championship last year, and that team was really good. This team is just better the way they're playing. And a lot of the players from last year are on this team. So you have to really kind of take a look at, the fact that just because they got another 50 games under their belt together, they're that better of a team. And they're blocking shots, and they're pushing guys off to the boards and making them play perimeter hockey, which is just a great defensive tool. The poke checks that they do, stealing the pucks. I mean, look at what CJ Stubbs did on Friday night, that shorthanded goal. I mean, he basically the puck was handed to him, essentially. He just turned around and just took a great shot. It was amazing. And then the shorthanded goal, the power play goal to start the scoring on Saturday night. Just great, excellent play by the Black Bears. But defensively, they've just been so much better. And now they have a shutout in the playoffs. That's the first time in franchise history that they have that, which is pretty cool. So the Black Bears just, I think they took care of business. Boom, boom, boom. They won 7 games in a row last year in the playoffs, and now they've already won 2 games in a row this year in the playoffs. Connor McAnanama has gotten his, 8th and 9th wins as a Black Bear in the playoffs. Pretty awesome. He's, basically 9 in a row. We look at, unfortunately, for goaltenders, we don't do this with, the captains of teams, even though I actually, in my captains list on binghamtonhockey.net, their teams, this is the record their teams were while they were captains. I think it's important, but nobody else does that, right? Nobody puts those kind of stats on a captain. We do it with coaches. We do it with goaltenders, but we don't do it with anybody else. But this is a team sport, and they all kind of pay tribute to getting the team to win games, to string off winning streaks and things of that nature. And they win as a team, they lose as a team. And you just don't lay blame on them. I really love the handshake at the end. It was great. What I really loved about this one was the Black Bears and the Wolves started off with Donald Oliveri and Brendan Colgan. I really, really liked that. The fact that those were the first two guys in their things. Brendan Colgan's a good goaltender. You know, I've said multiple times over the last couple of years, there's a lot better goaltending in this league now than there was 4 years ago. There's a lot better defensive play now than there was 4 years ago. It's just improved. And it's improved because there are people like Steve Martinson and Coach Harry down in Carolina, and of course Brant, who keep bringing in good players from D3 colleges. Sometimes you're bringing in a player from Europe or from the junior ranks in Canada, okay? And these guys are just making the league better. There are coaches throughout the league that are starting to catch on to what is going to make this league successful, which is bringing in smart, highly intelligent players that are just going to play the game. And I think we saw that. But Brendan Colgan's a good goaltender. He's a part of a class of goaltenders in the last 2 years, 3 years maybe, that you can look at that are just playing well. And when they have a good defensive core in front of them, their numbers just look a little bit better. So, I really liked the handshake. I really liked the fact that those two guys did that. And again, coach and coachman get to talk to each other and, wish each other well, which I thought was pretty cool as well. I thought these games were pretty clean. Of course, there was going to be some big hits. There was going to be some things that were close to being, maybe, I don't know, going over the edge, but neither team really went over the edge. I just thought it was played well. One other thing I want to bring up, and I think the fans, I get the fans griping about the referees, and yes, there were some missed calls. The basically the headshot to Sirota was a missed call. It should have been called, right? And I don't think there was an intent to really hurt him. Just crap happens, right? Like Dakota Bond, his big hit that got him the 1 game suspension. It wasn't like Dakota was going head hunting. It's just the way it is. But you got to make the call. As the referees, you just got to make that call, right? Everybody knows you have to make that call. I don't care if you miss a blatant hook. I don't care if you miss, something else. But a 2-hand slash or a hit up, close to the head, those type of things, you got to make the call. And when Dakota got the initial illegal check to the head, and I said, well, you know what? I mean, it looked vicious. It looked bad. You got to make a call. Then the league goes and looks at it and says, well, you know what? We're not going to give him that. We're going to give him a slash and major instead. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. But you have to just make the call. Regardless. And then if you have to kind of fix it later, that's fine, and talk to the referee and make sure that they understand what is the right thing to do there. That's the other thing. All right. I've already talked way too long. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and please join. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, from the Binghamton Black Bears, we got rookie forward Nicholas Swain. And I guess to finish my point is complaining about the referees, that's fine. I get it. It's going to happen. But don't waste too much time on it. But the other point I was going to make is the whole Jimmy Lodge situation, right? He played 14 regular season games, and he still isn't playing in the playoffs. Now, there was the game between Watertown and the HC Venom that was kind of erased, and I think you got to give it to Watertown. If they pushed and said, hey, listen, we're going to let him play because you didn't let him play that 15th game. So that's on the FPHL. I think it's okay that they let him play. It doesn't really matter. Again, I understand why fans want to complain about it, but all right, I guess you mention it and then you just move on because you can't change it. And the FPHL obviously listened to what Watertown had to say about playing Jimmy Lodge with only 14 games played. Who cares? He played. He wasn't that big of a factor in either game. And the Black Bears won. So you got to let it go and move on. First of all, those rules are just garbage anyways. I get it. You probably don't want someone to come down and play 5 games, from the AHL and then go and play in the playoffs. So I get that there's those rules, but you also have to think of the external circumstances of why he's playing and not just go, oh my God, I can't believe he's playing. He's only got 14 games in. Let it go. That's all I'm going to say. All right, the Binghamton Black Bears sweep the Watertown Wolves in 2 games, winning Friday night in Watertown and then in Binghamton on Saturday night. The Black Bears traveled to Watertown on Friday and steal a win on a shorthanded game winner from C.J. Stubbs. In the first period, Scott Ramakers gives the Black Bears a 1-0 lead at the 6:27 mark of the first period as his shot from behind the goal line went off the skate of Brendan Colgan and into the net for the game's first goal. With Jimmy Lodge, speaking of him, in the sin bin for holding, the Black Bears pick up a power play goal off the stick of 2-time MVP Gavin Yates, who scored at the 9:57 mark of the period, giving the Black Bears an early 2-goal lead. Now, again, if you listen to last week when I talked to Brant Sherwood at practice, we talked about first period in Watertown. What do you have to do? And first of all, it was not let them get up early and get up early. And that's exactly what the Black Bears did. And it's good that they did, because if the second period up in Watertown happened the way it did and it was scoreless during the first period, we might be talking about a Monday night game, right? Playing on Monday night. So, all right, scratched in the game was Emery, Dobles, Mott, Egbert, Sirota, and Bernardo. And, of course, Cam Cervoni is still out with an injury. We will probably be talking with him this upcoming week about the next round of the playoffs. First shot in the game came from Dakota Bond at the 102 mark of the period. Black Bears registered their first 5 shots of the first 5 shots of the game. Great shot from Ramakers behind the goal line. I mean, I just can't talk enough about how awesome that was. He gets penciled in as a defenseman, and then goes and scores, the first goal of the game. First power play came at the 8:46 mark after Jimmy Lodge holding penalty, which led to Gavin Yates scoring on the power play. Again, great for the Black Bears. Great start. The Black Bears dominated the first 10 minutes of the game. The Black Bears took their first penalty at the 14:34 mark with a Swain hooking penalty. Excellent start to the Black Bears postseason. I thought it was a good first period, especially being on the road up in Watertown. Shots on goal was 16-5 for the Black Bears. You'll notice that's a kind of a trend for the Black Bears. In the second period, with both C.J. Stubbs for slashing and Dan Stone for tripping in the penalty box, the Wolves get their first goal of the game with a 3:54 left to go in the period, making this a 2-1 game off the stick of Trevor Lord. Okay, so at this point, boom, at the end of the second period, it is 2-1 Black Bears. With Whalen from the Wolves still in the penalty box, the Black Bears started the period with 41 seconds on the power play. Obviously, they didn't score. This was a quieter second period than the first period. 15:28 into the period, the Black Bears have taken 3 penalties and the Wolves have only taken 2. The Black Bears' 2 late period penalties led the Wolves to a 5-on-3 that they took care of, and is one of my keys to the game. The Wolves will take advantage if you give them the man-up advantage. The Black Bears end the period on the penalty kill. Thompson takes a double minor for interference and a cross-checking. Foreshadowing, it means something. This was not a good last 10 minutes for the Black Bears. Too many penalties. The Wolves had a shot beat C-Mac in the last 2 minutes, but it hit the crossbar, went down into the blue paint. The Black Bears were lucky there. Now, granted, a lot of the fans in Watertown thought it was a goal and should have been reviewed. You could clearly see in the video, it hit the crossbar and then came down about 6 inches from the goal line and hit. So it definitely was not a goal. Shots on goal in the second period, Binghamton 12, Watertown 11. So they kind of matched the shots on goal to Binghamton, Watertown did. So totals at this point was 28 Binghamton, Watertown 16 in the third period. Going into the third period with Austin Thompson still on the penalty box, David Gaeta scored a power play goal and tied the game at 2 goals apiece just 19 seconds into the third period. With Donald Oliveri in the box for hooking, the Wolves on the power play, it was C.J. Stubbs who stole the puck from the Wolves in the neutral zone and scored a shorthanded goal to put the Black Bears up 3-2 and give the visiting team a 1-0 lead in the quarterfinal series. Okay. The Black Bears started the third period on the penalty kill as Austin Thompson's double minor carried over for the first 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Given the Wolves' chances on the power play is dangerous this season, Gaeta made the Black Bears pay with his man-up goal. Give the Black Bears a chance on the penalty kill, and they can score. That was the Black Bears' 19th shorthanded goal of the season, 18 in the regular season, and now 1 in the playoffs. Wolves pulled Colgan with 49 seconds left to go in the period, but it didn't help. Isn't this just the way with the Black Bears scoring a shorty to win this game? All season long, they were taking advantage of their confidence while a man down. The Black Bears could have lost this game. And even Coach Sherwood said after Saturday, that could have been Watertown's game. It was a bounce away from being a 3-2 Wolves lead. The first period was something we talked about with Coach Sherwood, and they did win the period. The second period, though, they did not win, and they need to do better in the second period on Saturday night, which is foreshadowing of what we're going to talk about. However, the Black Bears have won a lot of games in the third period this season. Great start, okay middle, better ending. Connor McAnanama was 8-0 after that game on Friday night. You can't ignore that stat. The Black Bears then we're going to host, obviously, the Wolves on Saturday night for Game 2 and a chance to sweep the series. The shots on goal in the third period was Binghamton 8, Watertown 6, for a total of 36-22. Watertown did a lot of things in that third period that the Black Bears did on Saturday, which is block shots. Very, very good. All right. Black Bears steal Game 1 up in Watertown, 3-2. Ramaker's scored the Black Bears' first goal of the 2024-2025 playoffs in the first period. Gavin Yates scored the Black Bears' first power play goal of the playoffs. C.J. Stubbs scored a shorthanded goal in the third period, which ended up being the game-winning goal. Connor McAnanama saved 20 of 22 shots on goal for the win, winning his 8th playoff game in a row and after going 7-0 last season for the Black Bears. The Black Bears take a 1-0 lead in the series, with Game 2 shifting to Binghamton. All right, so the Wolves and the Black Bears met for Game 2 in Binghamton. Connor McAnanama pitched a shutout. Black Bears win 4-0. In the first period went scoreless as Brendan Colgan and Connor McAnanama stood tall for the first 20 minutes. They both played very well. Scratched in the game for the Black Bears was Emery, Egbert, Clark, Fletcher, and then Dobles. The first power play chance went to the Watertown Wolves after a Thompson interference call. C-Mac made a great cover of the puck on his backside with 42 seconds left to go in the man advantage. Also, in I believe this first power play or penalty kill for the Black Bears, Dan Weber had a really great save right next to C-Mac. Kind of like took the puck and just shot it all the way down. Did a very good job there. And I wanted to make that note. I even said it to Dan afterwards. I said, just first period, that first power play, just great job. After the 11:30 after 11:30 into the period, the Black Bears and the Wolves tied on shots at 5. However, I would give the Wolves just a little bit better chances at this point. The Wolves are playing very well defensively, not letting the Black Bears get too many chances in front of Colgan. The Black Bears get the first power play at the 15:44 mark of the first, with Whalen getting caught with slashing. Nothing came of that. It was an interesting ending to the period. Yes, the referees missed a blatant call. Wolves hit on Zach Sirota. He was a pest both games. You know, he gets under people's skins. He's just there, and he's a little bit smaller than everybody, and everybody pushes him around a little bit. But he also draws people in the penalties, which is pretty good. Tyson and Dodd pled the case after the period was over, looking for the referees who were, I think, angry with the protest. I think they realized they missed the call, and I think they were angry. They didn't call Don or Tyson for any unsportsmanlike or holding things up, to get off the ice. They heard them out, and they kind of fired back at Don and Tyson, especially Tyson. Tyson was really getting an earful from the one referee, where Don, it was a little bit more subdued. I think Don kind of, he's been in the game so long. He just knows how to talk to the referees a certain way with a certain tone, and they don't get too angry with him. I think Tyson basically goes in there and goes, "You effed up. You really need to think about things a little bit because you effed up." And I think they just don't like the tone. But he's still fighting for the team, just like Don. I think there's just like that experience and finesse that Don has learned that Tyson will hopefully learn. The two teams had good chances, a few good chances. I am impressed with both netminders so far. Shots on goal, Binghamton 13, Watertown 7. In the second period, with Dominic Della Savita in the box for holding, the Black Bears scored the first goal of the game, a man up as C.J. Stubbs gave the home team a 1-0 lead. 2:20 into the middle period. After a face-off win, a pass to the point, and a shot came in that Blake Tosto tipped and scored the Black Bears' second goal of the period at the 7:59 mark. All right, let's talk about the second period for a little bit. Before and after the Stubbs goal, the game got chippier. The Wolves and the Black Bears both are looking to get underneath the skin of each team. And I think it went to that edge, but it never went over to that edge, which is good. But through the first media timeout, the Black Bears have had the better chances. So they came out and just had better chances. The Wolves really didn't have any chances in the second period. At the 7:59 mark of the period, in the middle period, it appeared the Black Bears scored their second goal by Blake Tosto, right? We just talked about that. But then it was reviewed for a very long time. After 5 minutes of review, it was considered a good goal. Now, I looked at the video that Tommy Turgan from Fox 40 captured of the goal. We're pretty confident, and I'm sure maybe it's already been discussed out there, but we're pretty confident they were looking at a high stick, right? So Blake Tosto's stick was up, it was underneath his shoulders, and it was below his shoulders when the puck tipped and hit the stick and then went in. So in our eyes, it was a good goal for sure, but they were definitely taking a long time to check that out. But without a doubt, it was definitely a good goal. After the Tosto goal, Don Oliveri had a huge hit on the Wolves player in front of the Black Bears bench. He had about 3 really good hits in the game, which I think was important. The intensity of the game is picking up. The Wolves are starting to play a little desperate hockey as they needed to as they got closer to the end of the second period. Through the 3 power plays that the Wolves have had, they've only registered 2 power play shots on goal. Both of those were in the first period. That's how good the Black Bears penalty kill was in the second period. 1 shot on goal for the Wolves. If the Black Bears lost the decision in last night's second period, tonight they killed it in the second period. How did they dominate this period? Well, first of all, they pushed the Wolves to the perimeter when they were in the Black Bears D zone. They closed down lanes in front of C-Mac. I mean, they were blocking shots. The sticks on pucks, it was just really good fundamental defensive hockey in that second period. They put their sticks on pucks, which was so important. Okay, an excellent defensive period for the Black Bears, and they scored 2 goals. And I think that a good defense can sometimes get to a good, good scoring chances. Shots on goal in the second period: Binghamton 20, Watertown 1. Totals were 33 for Binghamton, Watertown 8. In the third period, the Black Bears scored their third unanswered goal at the 14:23 mark of the third period from Tyson Kirkby, the captain of the team, making this a 3-0 game with Watertown's netminder Brendan Colgan pulled for the extra attacker. Donald Oliveri scored an empty netter with 16 seconds left to go in the game, making this a 4-0 game and a 2-game sweep of the Wolves. The Black Bears have continued their excellent defensive play in the third period from the second period, block shots, plugging zones. Even Connor McAnanama mentioned after the game that the team defense in front of him was amazing. The Black Bears never opened up this game. Instead, played a more defensive game than we've seen them play in the playoffs. What playing defensively did for them tonight was shut down the Wolves completely, but opened up 3 chances for goals. And probably even more chances that they just didn't score. But playing defensively sometimes can open up opportunities. The penalty kill was outstanding tonight. Connor McAnanama was the best we've seen him play this season. I realize it was only 15 shots, but He was perfect. He was literally perfect between the pipes. He was so locked in that when pucks did get through to him, he wasn't letting anything pass. Though there was a crossbar save in the game. There was one puck that got past him that the crossbar saved for him. This is the third season in a row that the Black Bears, 6-0, have beaten the Wolves 0-6 in a sweep of the series to get to the Empire Division Finals. The Black Bears are now awaiting today's Easter Sunday matchup between the Danbury Hat-Tricks and the Port Huron Prowlers, Game 3 matchup. Shots on goal was Binghamton 11, Watertown 7, for a total of 44 for Binghamton and 15 for Watertown. And again, I'm going to say this. This was a great game. I enjoyed this game. I just love kind of defensive battles like that. And even though the Black Bears scored 4 goals, I thought it was a lot closer game than probably what the score is going to show in history over time. Black Bears sweep Wolves, advanced to the second round with a 4-0 shutout. Blake Tasto scored the Black Bears' second goal of the game and assisted in the first goal, having a 2-point night. CJ Stubbs scored another special teams goal, scoring a power play goal in the second period and assisted for a goal for a 2-point night and had the game winner. Tyson Kirkby scored a goal and had an assist in the game for 2-point night. The Donfather, Donald Oliveri, scored the empty netter at the end of the game, his first of the postseason. Connor McAnanama saved all 15 shots he faced to get his 4-0 shutout and winning his 9th straight playoff game as a Black Bear. The Black Bears sweep the Watertown Wolves and now await, obviously, the winner of Port Huron and Danbury. This is the third postseason in a row that the Black Bears have swept the Wolves in the first round. So who will the Black Bears face off in the next round? Again, as I've just mentioned, either it'll be Port Huron or Danbury. Both teams have 2 wins against the Black Bears this season. If Port Huron wins, I think the con is they have to travel to Michigan. They have to get on a bus or fly out there. However they do it, they're going to have to go out there. I think it's advantageous, to suck it up, spend the $2,000, fly the guys out there. If Danbury wins, they have to play in the Danbury Ice Arena. That's the con, right? Which poses its own issues and potential problems. No matter what, Game 2, the Black Bears' first home game of the series, will be on Saturday, April 26th, and Game 3, if needed, will also be in Binghamton on Sunday, April 27th. So that's pretty much it. Obviously, great series, a great fan turnout, 4,400 fans. Great job getting people in there. I remember some of the Binghamton Senators games where we didn't hit 4,000, even for the first round of the playoffs. So Black Bears fans, you guys have stepped up, did a great job. It was just a lot of fun. I very much enjoyed some of the conversations I had. I want to thank Jen also for bringing up a really cool bracelet to me. I know Katie Miguel had them, and Jen brought me up one. Jen, thank you so much. It was great to see you. I really appreciated that. And I want to send a special shout out to Papa Weebs, Yvonne Weber. It's great seeing you guys, talking with you. The McAnanamas, it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. And yes, I am wearing some Converse or Chuck Taylors right now, depending on how you call them. But yes, they are Chuck Taylors that I have on right now. And the Thompsons. If Paul and Janet Thompson are listening right now, it was a pleasure to get to talk to you guys again. It was great to see you guys, and I'm sure we'll see you guys all more as the playoffs continue. So coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show, we got Nicholas Swain, rookie. We recorded this at the arena back on Wednesday. So we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers.
Hi, this is Brandon Buchinski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman on. We are still here at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. Practice is concluded. Guys are in the locker room getting a meal, and I know I'm keeping this gentleman from his meal at the moment, but he's been gracious enough to come on the show with us. He is one of the new college rookies for the Binghamton Black Bears. He's Nick Swain. Nick, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So talk a little bit about growing up in Jackson, New Jersey. A lot of people don't think of Jackson or the central part of New Jersey probably for a lot of hockey, but obviously that's where you grew up.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson's been a good spot. Yeah, there's not as many sheets of ice as like Minnesota or like Michigan, but there's a good amount of hockey players and some good talent in Jersey. I grew up playing in Tom's River, actually, so we had to travel. So, my parents were driving rigorously to practice and whatnot in Tom's River for the Blackhawks. I grew up playing like A, AA, AAA. Wasn't really like a thing in my area. There was the New Jersey Titans was one of the first like AAA teams. So I ended up doing that at a Howell, which was pretty close. But, I mean, it's been a great experience. Like, I love the area. You have the summertime after hockey. You could go relax, kind of get your mind off it. So it's been good. Talk
a little bit about how. Okay, all right. So something came up to me. You said Tom's River, New Jersey. I know where Jackson is. It's almost directly middle. If you're on I-175, Interstate 175, obviously in Jersey, going across, basically it's an east-west or west-east, depending on how you look at it, route, you could either take the Garden State Parkway down, or you can go over to 35 and take 35 down. Which route did you guys usually take to get to Tom's River? What was the easiest way?
We usually kind of did some back roads. Sometimes we would take the Parkway if we wanted to pay at the tolls, but usually we'd take back roads, kind of.
I might have to get those back roads directions from you to go from Jackson, because, again, I've actually done the back roads from Jackson to get to Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey, and I'm going to tell you right now, I either had myself turned around or whatever, because it took like 3 hours to do. It was terrible. But unfortunately, the Garden State is so busy, right? Yeah. It's crazy. Some people drive like 95, 100 on there, and then 35 can just get busy because of all the shore traffic. All right, enough of that. So growing up in Jackson, where did the love from hockey come from?
I mean, neither of my parents played hockey. I think my dad played ultimate frisbee.
Really?
Yeah, I think my mom was, just like a cheerleader or something.
So your love from hockey came from where then?
My older brother, Ryan Swain, I think he started it. Some of him and his buddies just wanted to play, and then as being the youngest of two older brothers, like my middle brother started playing. We kind of just followed him, and then like we tried baseball, we tried soccer, and it's such high paced or like way more exciting than standing in an outfield. And so when we were little, we just fell in love with it. We started out with actually roller hockey, so we'd rollerblade everywhere before ice hockey, and then we found out about ice hockey and then fell in love with that too.
Was it easy or difficult to convince your parents? Because it's an expensive sport. This is not a sport where you can just go out and do it. I mean, obviously you can get the rollerblades. There's probably not as much other equipment to do it. But was it easy or difficult to convince your parents to let you play hockey? Ice hockey, at least.
I think once they saw how much we loved it, because once we got like our first pair of rollerblades, like we wouldn't go back inside the house until the night, like you couldn't see anymore. So I think that helped convince them a little bit. And then lucky enough, there used to be a store called Good Sports where it's like a bunch of used gear that they sell for cheap. So then like, I don't think I ever had a new pair of skates growing up. It was all just
So when did you get your first new pair, would you say? What level of hockey?
Probably around juniors or
really?
U18, yeah. I mean, I wasn't too picky with any of the gear. As long as I was just out on the ice, I was happy.
I have an older brother too, so hand-me-downs, totally get it. Totally get it. It just happens. I mean, it's he can't fit in them anymore, but you can. So put them on.
Yeah, I mean, I had no complaints with it. We got some like new sticks and stuff. So that kind of kept us happy, so.
Talk a little bit about, hockey in Jersey. Like, obviously you went down to Toms River and played in their junior program. So, is it a lot of travel? Is there a lot of close teams, or do you have to travel a lot?
For the EHL and the New Jersey 87s, it was a decent amount of travel. It wasn't like 7 hours, but each road trip was probably like 2 to 4 hours, I'd say. Like Connecticut, there was another team in New Jersey when I played that was brand new. A couple Pennsylvania teams. Massachusetts always has teams. So if we did like a showcase, then we travel to the typical Boston area, and they have really good hockey up there.
I was just going to say, that's like a good testing ground for you guys, right? You go up there, especially in Massachusetts, where there's a lot of prep school hockey. I know you played some high school hockey as well, but there's prep school hockey. I mean, they're preparing these kids sometimes at 12, 14 years old to play prep school. It's crazy how they do that. Was it a good testing ground for you guys to go New York, New Jersey, or up to Massachusetts to play these games?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, always playing against different teams, and then when like the My Hockey rankings started coming out, you'd see all the ranks of different teams, and if you got to play them, you'd kind of see where you are if you played a top ranked team. I know like the prep schools, like you said, that it's very serious, and it's kind of hard to get into unless you start at that younger age and kind of get known. So like playing against kids that kind of have the reputation or have all like the media behind them, it's pretty cool to like compete with those guys.
You found your way to Wilkes University. How did that come about? Did they scout you? Did you kind of like say, this is where I want to go to school, and yeah, they got hockey, so I'm going to play?
Yeah, so my first year juniors, I was in Canada with the SIJHL,
right,
which is like a junior A league. I did that during COVID, so like my juniors was during COVID, so I played a couple games and then I left to go to the 87s, and then they did a really good job just reaching out for team or schools for me, and then you kind of have the same thing. Schools watch like their leagues, like every coach kind of has like a league or teams in mind where they want to recruit their players, and then if you do well and you put up numbers, then you kind of get the luxury of teams reaching out. And then, Wilkes reached out. I heard good things about it. It was a fun little area. They called it Wilkes Vegas. So
yes, they do. They as being Binghamton only being about an hour or so away from at least Scranton, and then another 15 minutes at least to Wilkes. Well, if you drive normal, not like Bob does, it's pretty close. We've heard different names for Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, that whole area. Right. But what did you like about the area? Because I got to imagine, because Jackson is probably not as big as Wilkes and or Scranton put together, right? It's I wouldn't say it's a big city. It's not necessarily a small area either, right? So did it feel comfortable going to the Wilkes area?
Yeah, it was a smaller school, so I kind of liked the aspect of knowing the teachers and the teachers knowing you. So if you go to class, like they know if you miss it or not, whether that's good or bad. If you want to skip a day, it's not great for you, but it's good.
Don't say that out loud.
Yeah, it's good that you could kind of lean on them for a little bit more support, because you build a connection through 4 years. And then they had Kings right across. So
yep.
It was just like a nice little college town. Like once you're in it, like the area outside of Wilkes can get a little like sketchy, but I mean, a lot of college towns are like that.
Yep.
So yeah, and then once I was there, it was fun and I liked it.
What was the hockey like there with Wilkes? So you're not the first player to come out of Wilkes to play pro hockey. So a D3 school. We obviously have a whole team full of D3 guys. So talk a little bit about the kind of level of hockey there and what you kind of learned about hockey playing for Wilkes.
Yeah, so, I mean, before I got there, they were like top 10 ranked school for Division III, so that kind of piqued my interest hockey-wise, why to go there. The team's only been around for about 7 or 8 years, so fairly a new program, but right from the start, they've done well every year. I think every year I've been there, we've been at least top 20 or top 30 in Division III. So, just competing against
which is
good
good
teams.
because there are a lot of players that come out of D3 hockey that are making their way into. I know there's been a lot of changes in college hockey and the major juniors and how all that's going to change things, but D3 hockey has really started to produce players that can really go far. And in some cases they play pro hockey, like in the SPHL, ECHL, FPHL. They also become coaches. So, something's working really well in the D3 part of the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, I think just that 4 years to allow you to kind of mature and kind of figure out what you want to do, because, when you're that young or usually going into college, you're kind of like,
yeah,
what am I going to do the rest of my life, or what am I going to do? You question it, but then, after the 4 years you're there, you kind of start to figure it out, and it allows you to, focus on what you really want to do.
You're just finishing up your degree now. Tell the fans what your degree is going to be.
So I have a major in financial investments and then a minor in business analytics.
And what do you plan on doing with that after hockey? Or do you not know yet?
There's a couple options. Could
Yeah.
be like a financial advisor or get into wealth management. I'm kind of working with a mergers and acquisitions company right now, so I had a internship too on the private equity side, so the whole private financial sector is really interesting to me. So,
What interests you about that?
just the fact that it's like, if you look at like Home Depot or like Pepsi, you kind of just see that day to day, but then there's 10 more companies behind it that go into it that you don't really get to see, like what is going on, why this company is doing well, who owns it, who's like making, I guess, calling the shots.
Yeah, because there's umbrella companies that will own tons of companies underneath it, and they have to diversify their portfolio so they can make because if one company starts to go bad, they don't want it to destroy everything else, and so there's a balance to it.
Right. Yeah.
And people don't realize that happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like what's behind the picture, and to me that was really interesting in seeing how kind of like they move money and what they think is like a good investment.
So you're going to become the personal advisor to Andreas Johansson, right? You're gonna help him with his money and the what's going on with the Black Bears, right?
Maybe. I think he's got it figured out right now.
I think he's doing okay.
Yeah.
I think he's doing okay. Absolutely. So how did you get in touch with the Black Bears?
Just right after I graduated. I have like an agent called Eric Swanek. He's done a great job, like reaching out for me and his connections. And then
Do we have to give him like 10% that you just mentioned his name now here on the podcast? I'll give you 10% of nothing if that's okay. But he reached out. He helped you.
He helped me after college, and then Sherwood called me as well and reached out. So kind of just
So you were on Sherwood's radar.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he saw guys graduating. I'm not really sure too much how it works, but I'm happy that I was
He's
able
stealthy.
to get yeah, exactly. I'm happy that I was able to get the phone call though, and I liked everything he said. And then once I saw the rink and the atmosphere, I was kind of sold.
Yeah, it was. It's sometimes it's. I think probably a little shocking to new players coming in, going, "Wait a second here. They're actually going to have all these seats full." And you've seen a couple sellouts now, right? And you're probably thinking. I mean, how many fans did you guys play in front of in Wilkes?
At most a couple hundred. Usually it's just some parents and some girlfriends. Nothing
so the parents are on one side and the girlfriend's on the other side, and that's it. Was that easy to play in that atmosphere where it's like the whole place is loud and they're chanting your guys' names? Was that easy to come into when you weren't used to it the last 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, my first game was definitely a little nerve-wracking. When you touch the puck, you kind of can hear the fans. But then, after a couple shifts, you just kind of, your mind goes to straight playing hockey, and then you kind of don't really hear the crowd unless, you score a goal or do something pretty cool that gets the crowd going, or especially a fight here, it seems like gets the fans going.
It does. I mean, we go back to the Duster days and Slapshot era. I'm sure you've watched the movie Slapshot. Part of that whole era of hockey started here in this arena. Can can I ask you, do you remember your first goal that you scored here, pro?
At this rink?
Well,
or
just
this
first pro goal. Pro
yeah,
goal.
Yeah, I remember the first one. It was off a face-off playing Watertown. Kind of just puck tied up in the center, help support, and then shot it low far side, and it kind of was trickling in. I just went to the net to make sure.
It went in.
It went in, yeah.
What's that like, scoring your first pro goal?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I wish I did it at home just to get the crowd into it. But I mean, just scoring any goal is really exciting. It's like the first one is definitely more memorable, but every time you score, it's like just a great feeling.
Did you expect 10 points in 9 games, 6 goals in your first 9 games? Did you expect that?
Not really. I don't really expect anything. I kind of just came in, was hoping that I would be able to play, make like a lineup spot, and hopefully can continue and just get into playoffs and win a championship.
Was it like, who was the first guy that like you probably spoke to or had more than just a hello conversation in that locker room? Because there's a ton of amazing guys in that locker room. But who was the first guy you kind of really connected with?
The first guy that I kind of had like that actual was Kyle Stefan.
Oh, okay.
He was just getting back from injury, so he stayed out later and skated. Like usually I like to stay out on the open ice and skate after, and he was just getting back from his injury, so kind of just was easy to talk to. He was kind of introducing everything, so he's
a really super nice guy. I mean, this is a guy who played D1 hockey. His father worked for the New York Rangers and other NHL squads, and he seems so bought into here in Binghamton. It's kind of pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. He definitely gives his all too, so that's cool.
Who have you enjoyed line mate wise so far on the ice? Who do you think you've connected with the best on the lines?
That's tough. I mean, everyone I've played with, I've enjoyed it. I've kind of been.
Well, you keep scoring with whoever's out there with you, right? So that's obviously beneficial. But has anybody? Because one of the things, I mean, like you take Cam Clark and Chris Mott, right? They played with each other in Morrisville. They know each other. They just there's that. Is there been somebody that you've kind of really, really connected well with on the ice so far?
I can't really say anyone specific. I've kind of been.
You don't want to call anyone out in a good way, do you?
No, I've just been moving around with playing with almost everybody, and
you have.
Yeah, it's been great all around. Like I can't say bad about anybody. Like everyone that I've.
Well, I don't want you to say anything bad about anybody. I want you to say something good about somebody. Yeah. But no, totally understand. The system that Sherwood puts into place. Were you kind of surprised on how? I don't want to say how professional it is, but more it's really, he's got a great system where he can plug anybody into any certain position, right? You could be the 10th forward one night, but you could be the first line right wing the next night, and just it works, right? Were you kind of surprised when you came in, saw his practices, saw his video, his preparation? Did that kind of surprise you, being that it's single A hockey in the Fed?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of a little bit surprised, but I kind of knew like what going in, what it was going to be like. Like you hear about it when you're at school about like just the different, like it's professional, everyone takes it serious. So it's not like some guys are just, they know at college, like they know they're just going to work. They're not going to play after. So some guys show up to the rink. They're not as serious. Like everyone here wants to be here. Everyone here is because they love the game. They want to play hockey. You know what I mean? This is your job. This is, you could get replaced. So like everyone takes it serious. It was cool to see like how he does it and how he implements it, and how well it's worked, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
They won last year. Maybe a little pressure for some of the new young college rookies to come in and to make sure that they add another banner, because this team, I mean, if you think about it, Nick, I feel for you college rookies, right? Because this team is 49-6-1 in 56 games. That's just ridiculous. An .851 winning percentage, and you guys got to come in here and like help win another championship when this team is better than it was last year. I mean, it's got to be a little bit of pressure on you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, they say diamonds are made from pressure, but, every opportunity, you kind of just got to take when you get it. I like the fact that, I have to, like, compete to make a spot, and, if I mess up, then I know that it could be my last. So it's kind of like one of those things that, iron sharpens iron. You make everyone better by just giving your best each day.
Growing up, who was your biggest hockey influence?
My favorite player was like Patrick Eliash.
Okay, all right. Why? Just the style of play?
Yeah, he was like very poised with the puck, skilled, could score. I grew up watching him, so I'm a Devils fan, liked him.
I'm sorry to hear that. We had the Devils, but there's no banners for the Devils up here. We had the Devils for a few years. Unfortunately, the COVID year, when the play stopped, it was one of they had just a great team here in the COVID year. And I remember it was in March when everything got shut down, right? And I remember going home and from a Wednesday game, and then the next day everybody was like, don't come to work, don't do anything, it's craziness is going to happen. And I literally said to my wife, I said, this was the year. I think that we could have won another Calder Cup championship. Devils finally had gone the right core of guys together. Because their minor league systems, other than the Albany River Rats back in the 90s, just really have not excelled well in the minor leagues. I know the Comets have had a really horrible last year, and then this year they started off bad, but they've gotten better. But man, that COVID year here in Binghamton with Devils, they were just coming around, and they won like 7 out of 10 games before the shutdown. But everybody had that feeling that we had in 2011 with the B-Sens, where it was right at the end of the season, right? And you could just get that feeling. This team is good, and this team is special. Obviously, he was one of your favorite Devils players. What good memories because I'm sure you guys had gone to games up, in Newark. I've been to Newark. It's a great facility. First of all, getting to the facility is actually a lot easier than people would think, for it being Newark, New Jersey. Yeah. Do you have any good memories of watching games in Newark?
When I was younger, we went to a couple playoff games. I kind of don't remember what games they were. I just remember they were really exciting. Most recently, we were at the Devils Rangers when the Devils beat them. I think it was like 5-6-0.
So conference finals back, I think it was in 2015, Devils and Rangers. I went to a game in Madison Square Garden, and then we went to another game in Newark. Let me tell you right now, that was so much fun. Just experiencing both arenas. I'm a Rangers fan, so just experiencing both arenas in the same playoff series was just so cool. Yeah. So cool, and very easy to do from Binghamton, right? You get to Newark from Binghamton's not bad, and obviously, when you're going into the city, kind of sucks sometimes, depending on what time of day you get in there. Right. But it was actually kind of fun to do 2 games for one series between those two, awesome. Which was pretty cool. So. Awesome. Nick, thank you very much for coming on. Good luck the rest of the playoffs, and I hope we get to see you here next year, do a full season, and see what you can make of, because if you're going to score like this next year, the Black Bears are going to be very lucky.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Nicholas Swain. I want to thank Nick for coming on the show and talking to us. Last Wednesday, we recorded that at the arena after practice, and just want to thank Nick again for coming back on the show. Okay, so what should you guys be looking out for? Later on today at 5 o'clock, because I'm recording this, it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. Happy Easter to everybody. If you're enjoying your Easter festivities with your family, making a ham or whatever it might be that you guys do on Easter, maybe Easter egg hunt.
People used to do that. I don't know if that's still a thing. Maybe it is. Either way, at 5 o'clock, there will be a game between the Danbury Hat-Tricks and the Port Huron Prowlers. That is in Danbury. It is a 5 o'clock start, and whoever wins that game will be the second-round opponent for the Binghamton Black Bears. So, obviously, once that game is over with, the Black Bears will put out the formal schedule. We'll all be looking for that on social media. We'll obviously be talking about it on the Power Play Post Show Facebook group, so go ahead and check that out as well. Either way, second round of the playoffs will start in Binghamton. The first Binghamton home game will be on Saturday. The first game of the series will be either in Danbury or in Port Huron. And I'm going to guess it's going to be Friday, but I don't know for sure, okay? Because they might do an earlier date if it's Port Huron because of the potential travel. We'll see what the Black Bears and the league and whichever team they're playing against decides. Either way, it'll be all out probably sometime this evening and or tomorrow morning. You'll be able to find all that information out. Okay, the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast and subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search Power Play Post Show. Check out BinghamtonHockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our music director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, rookie forward Nicholas Swain, and Connor McAnanama and Brant Sherwood from last night's postgame. I am Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.